Do you think anyone's gonna join?
We'll see. People said they would. There was a few people who replied. Well, at the very least, there's always, this can always, what am I trying to say? This can always be a recording for future people to watch if need be. Actually, can you try talking for me?
Hello?
Okay, I think my OBS is picking it up. Let me just double check. Oh, okay, yeah, it should be working then. Now we wait.
I was just gonna start at like 2:15.
Yeah, we'll see.
Your what crashed?
My internet browser just,
Oh,
I don't know. That was weird. I'm sorry, Windows. Hello.
hi.
I knew something was happening today, and I thought about it yesterday, but I didn't think about it late enough yesterday to remember today. Then I saw the notifications, like, ah, that's all right. I gotta wake up at 8 anyway tomorrow so I can fix my sleep schedule. Good Lord. All right. Who else said they were coming? Looks like still waiting for Dan and CH
Mm.
3400 or 340. I guess we can wait till at least one more person shows up and then start.
Yeah. Huh. My dad works at Wells Fargo too.
Hmm,
He's a project manager.
nice.
Yeah. Wish I could get a job though. Jesus Christ, it's been like a year. I've been searching. I'm getting closer, but it's still not getting any better. So ass out there. What can I do except keep applying and make side projects? So, I don't know. God.
Yeah, the job market's pretty bad right now, or so I've heard.
Yeah, I mean, I graduated last year and still not a lot. I mean, I got a recruiter who's doing me pretty good. Career fair went pretty well, so I'm just waiting on stuff back at the end of the month from most of these places, and maybe I've gotten second place so many times in the very final part that I don't even know anymore. It's been like 4 or 5 times. I'm just like, okay, man, one of these days, but not really. So I'm just making side software that may be interesting enough to get kind of passed, and maybe recruiters like, hey, that looks really cool. You want to join our team? Maybe. I don't know, but one of these days. So weird. I wrote one thing I wrote down, or I did recently on my resume for a career fair. I think I worked on a GameCube mod manager, because
Oh, that's
we
cool.
needed it for a game that I was working on, right? It was a lot easier instead of passing around a doll and ISO, loose files, etc. Just have a pack to send. So I made that in like a week, and I've been updating it slowly, and I went to a career fair. I had that on there because it showed I know how to architect and stuff like that. And they were like, "Oh, so you like using Dolphin too?" And I was just taken aback. I wasn't ready for an employer to say that they knew about emulators at a career fair. I was a little shocked. So it was weird. Um, at least at least felt good. Um, yeah. I've been looking at this project for a while. I just genuinely had no idea where to start, to be honest. I was just like, yeah, I
Yeah,
could. You know,
it's kind
I
of
have some knowledge, but yeah.
I'd say a big thing with it right now is that it's really only White that's like working on it,
Yeah.
and it's very much a project that needs like more than one person, ideally.
I feel that. I am working on a similar project to that right now. I am the last active developer in the Sonic Riders community for any of the mods because all of them are gone. All of them, or inactive, or dead, or they say we're working on something, but they're definitely not. They're definitely not. So yeah,
I say at like 2:10. Let's say like 3 more minutes. If no one else shows up, we'll just start.
right.
And if people show up late, they'll show up late. They can join in later. I'll
Yeah,
have this up on YouTube after, so anyone who wants to in the future can check it out.
that's a good idea.
Yeah. I can try to take notes too, but I don't really know what I'm doing in terms of like coding shit. I just work here.
I'm just on the ground floor, man, you know.
Yeah. As one does.
Yeah. God, I gotta free up my computer from bloat again. Jesus Christ. I'm at 30 gigs and I know it's just Windows files waiting to be updated. Hate how they have just so much junk. This is the year. This is the year I switched to Linux. I swear to God, or dual boots or something. I'm so tired of it. Windows 12. It's gonna be centered around AI. Is what they think, and I'm like, that's stupid. Can't even
Yeah,
do
this
things
is
right
like
yet.
this project is the only thing tying me down to Windows. So
Yeah,
I I kind of just want to. So the thing about Linux right now for me is that like, okay, first of all, it doesn't build on Linux, and B, um, it doesn't work on Linux because of Windows specific functionalities that I'm utilizing.
right.
So I need to fix that before I can go over.
Mm-hmm.
It's also generally just nice to have access to Visual Studio.
True, true. I've been using Writer more though, to be honest. Like, I have some projects that are still in Visual Studio, and I'm like, I don't want to take the time to reconfigure it for Writer. But if there's one that I'm like just getting new, I will use that because JetBrains is goated, pretty much. So glad they finally made, at least from my memory, Sea Lion have a community edition. I don't remember. It's been a minute though. I don't know, but I still have enough of a plan for it. So that works. But I've just been mostly doing Python automations or just general scripts or programs recently. So my mod manager was actually entirely written in Python, fun fact, but it was only because a Pythonic behavior with hash maps slash dictionaries enabled it to work. It created this sort of system where if I had the base game's like directory fully mapped out in a dictionary, and I took like say you have a mod, the mod only has to change files, and I added the dictionary representation of that mod's directories on top, then I would have a list of all the original files and then the modded files. I do a one pass through, get all the files, copy them to the final place, and make an ISO. That's how that worked. I did not want to re-implement that in another language because it was already there, and I was like, yeah. But at least it's fast enough. Like a 4 second save on a non-clear cache is pretty good. So I'm happy with it. And it's got a nice front end. And then I'm
Nice.
working on remaking radio, which is really fun.
I think
Oh,
all
there's
of them.
documents. Yay.
Okay. Wait, you're sharing your screen? Okay, I was gonna share mine. That's
Oh,
fine.
well, I mean, if you want to, you can. I don't know. I'm trying to be
Um,
helpful.
yeah, let's just do it that way, and then I can show the code on my end.
All right, sounds good.
Okay. Um. So the project right now, as we have kind of um, gone over a little bit through announcements and such, um, there's this idea of the alpha build, which is just within the a fork of the Project Plus Dolphin. Uh, and what we're doing there is we're just building rollback into the existing NetPlay functionality, like the lobbies and such. Um, but before that, what we were doing was we were just building out um, the functionality within the menus of Brawl itself. And that was starting to prove to be difficult because we don't have a full grasp on what um, the um, Brawl menus actually look like in terms of um, like the reverse engineering, like structures and such. We don't have like a clear understanding of what those look like. So I would need to create a custom menu to put in like a direct connect, like a username to like connect to another person, and we just have no idea how that would even start to be assembled.
Mm.
So what I decided to do was just build it out in the alpha version first, and then we can go back and try to figure it out. Well, we have the rollback section of it being ironed out on the alpha repos. So I delineated the two between so the we'll start calling like the old stuff the old repos, and then the new stuff the alpha repos. Um, that way we can kind of know what we're talking about.
And
So the alpha repos I listed them in that document. You can go look at the code. Let me share my screen.
yeah, I'll keep mine up. This is
Um,
the document if you want to have yours show the actual code.
yeah, let me.
And so the alpha will basically be, it's like how you normally net play right now, where you and your opponent like share a code with each other and connect to like a dolphin lobby and then
Mhm.
play. It's just that it will be rollback instead of delayed based.
Right.
Right. Um, so, oh, okay. Well, hold on. Let me just share this. Okay, there we go. So that I can scroll back and forth because I don't have two monitors right now. Um, kind of a small desk. So in terms of building, the Dolphin has a README that you can just kind of figure it out from there.
Here,
Um,
Scott.
it's fairly simple. Yeah. Do you have a question or something?
No, I'm just saying I'm gonna clone it right now.
Okay. Yeah. So just make sure the big thing is that make sure you recursively get all the submodules
Yep.
because there's a lot of them and there's like submodules within submodules.
Um,
Um, so you have to like get all the submodules within the submodules. So
right.
just like use the recursive flag when you get the submodules.
Okay.
So right now, Dolphin only works when you build it in in Windows, and it really only works by building it within Visual Studio right now. So one of the big things that I would like that would be fairly simple is to make sure that it works within CMake. Um,
Yeah.
so that would be pretty easy to implement. Uh, Iris, can you go back to the document?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, there's that. Okay, so the ASM repo, let me share the other. I wish there was a way to swap between windows. Oh, there is. Okay,
Hmm.
cool. So this is the ASM repo. So the it's the same thing. You have to recursively get all of the submodules because there's submodules with submodules. Um, but the ASM, the way you build this is a little different than like how you would normally build like a CMake project.
Yeah.
The instructions are within the README. you need to run this Python script, and it pulls Clang off of a server, and it pulls the elf to rel binary off the server, and then you just run make, and then it makes this file, this rel file, this brawlback online .rel, and you put that um, into the actual like SD card for the build.
Yeah.
Uh, so the way the hello, sorry, we got started like a few minutes ago, but
No worries, man. Sorry for being late.
you're good. Um, so the way that the ASM repo functions is it's based on Syringe plugins. And what Syringe does is it just allows you to inject code within um, within the game using C++, um, instead of having to use like PPC ASM.
Right.
And the reason we do that is because well, we technically could like write the code within ASM. It's just more complicated,
Makes sense. Yeah.
and there's not enough space really to within the Gecko code space to hold all of the codes that we would need.
Mm.
And the way, so you might be thinking, well, how did Slippy do it? Well, the way that Slippy did it was that they replaced their adventure mode with a bigger code handler, which we can't do that within Brawl because it's a completely different memory structure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it would it's we already have this whole like idea of a Syringe plugin anyway, so we might as well just use it. Um, so yeah. Um, so the big thing they have to know about Syringe plugins is that you need the base Syringe file, sy _rel. Sorry, sy, what is it? sy_core, I think it is. It builds in a weird place. It puts it here first of all.
Yeah.
So you don't like the way that we have this structured right now is that it like builds it and then puts all the files in the right places using using the makefile script.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can just sync this folder vbrawl, like the outer folder, within the SD card using Dolphin, or you can use whatever syncer that you use for SD cards. I think Project Plus uses like I forget what it's called, but it's like Bird wrote the script where you can just like it's faster basically, but I don't really want to ship it with the project because it's like proprietary software. But yeah, you can sync it using either one. It doesn't really matter. And okay, so within Syringe, there's multiple different hook types you can use. Let me just open that wiki and we can go over it. Hold on. Okay. There we go. Yeah, so I think there's like 6 hook types. So there's sci inline hook, inline hook rel, sci replace funk, rel, sci simple hook, rel. The big two that we use is sci inline hook and sci simple hook. What inline hook does is um, it branches out to your code and then returns back to the instruction after the instruction that you replaced it with.
Mm.
But it also runs the original instruction before it calls your code. The reason why this is good is because like if you want to run code at a specific address, but you still want to run the original Brawl code, for example, um, And yeah, so size simple hook. What this does is it does not return back to the original function. You have to actually at the end of the function you have to supply like a branch back to wherever you want to go back. Um, this could be helpful in situations where like you need first of all like if you want to run your own TPC ASM. Like let me show my screen in an instant where I did that. Like here. This is like some ASM.
Yep.
And so I'm just like replacing an instruction with this instead, basically, and then returning to an address that I specify. And that's what that's for. So I replace func is for like you want to replace an entire function with custom code. The rel like the sign like hook rel and size simple hook rel is if you're like hooking into code that already exists within a different module file. And the reason why that would be the case is like you want to hook into like I don't know like the Mario fighter module or something. What you could do is like write your own code using sign line hook, right? Well, what you're going to notice that when you build and try to run that code is that it gets replaced by the module code. So like what you need to do is you need to instead um, you need to instead use the rel variant, and you need to specify a um, the the module that you're hooking into and the offset within that module. So like well, let me just share my screen on what a module actually looks like, so we can. Okay. Rel. So all modules can be opened using this thing called rel tools. You just drag the .rel on top of the rel tools, and it'll dump out the content.
One sec. I think it's just showing your VS Code right now.
Yeah, I'm just explaining. Just hold on.
Oh, okay.
Let me share. Actually, let me just open this within VS Code.
Okay, yeah, now it's moving. Yeah, for
There we go.
Okay.
So this is kind of like this is the code that would be within a rel file. So let me share this my actual whole screen. And I'll kind of show. So the like when you dump the rel file, it's going to give you 6 sections. And within those sections are just PPC code that it runs, and it places on top of the brawl code, essentially. Yeah. Can you go back to the document, Iris? Wait, no, I'm looking at my.
Oops, sorry. There we go.
Okay. Yeah. So the big thing, some of the things I've learned is that, yeah, that's kind of cumbersome. Having to find the offset within the rel file to kind of inject on top of the rel file instead of the brawl code. So like it would be cool if we had like a way to like do that without having to like go inside the file and like figure out what offset you're trying to inject on top of, because some of these files are like tens of thousands of lines of PPC code, and it's just like you have to like control F and just look for the line of code, and then it's like what you do is you look at the surrounding code within Brawl, and some of that surrounding code looks very similar to other surrounding code, so it's just like trial and error, and it's like it gets so insufferable, like it takes hours sometimes.
I had to do that before. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like it'd be cool if we could like, I don't know, kind of figure that out some other way.
So
I
I'm
don't
sorry, I spaced out for a second. What exactly is the problem you're running into?
Yeah, so when you inject on like, let's say you want to inject on like the Mario Fighter module, for example.
Mhm.
Um, when you write code, and then within like say you, and if instead of this I was injecting on top of code that gets replaced by the Mario like fighter module,
Yeah,
the
like the
fighter,
module gets loaded in and
yeah, it
replaces your
replaces
code.
the
Yeah.
code, right? Yeah, yeah. So finding, so instead what you need to do is like inject using the rel syringe method, which like
Hmm.
injects it into the rel instead of the brawl code. Um, so finding the line of code that's within the rel um, is kind of cumbersome. Does that make sense?
So correct me if I'm wrong, but so the issue is like we have code. Is it code that's already in Brawl that then gets overwritten again by Mario, or is it code that we know is in like Mario's rel, but once it's loaded in, we can't do anything about that?
No. So you can do something about it, but like it needs to happen like within your plugin. So
Oh yeah.
like yeah, yeah. So
Hmm.
once it gets loaded in, it replaces any code that you wanted to write within your own plugin, basically.
Okay. Yeah, this is it'll take a bit for me to wrap my head around that, I guess, but like I have some ideas maybe, but like I don't want to suggest anything that's like already been tried and kind of like, baby's first attempt. So I'll just leave it there.
So wait, I just want to make sure I understand. So you're saying like when you load these rel files, there's like a address. Is it like it's getting loaded at some random address or something like that, and you don't know exactly where it is? Or
Yeah, exactly. So like when you provide the offset, like within the rel, like let's say the offset was this, right?
hmm
Uh,
Right.
you like that matches an actual line of code within Brawl that it's like that this is replacing. Um, but like when when you actually are like trying to write plugins for Brawl, you're not looking at the rel, you're looking at the actual Brawl code, right?
right,
Yeah.
So
like the memory map for
yeah,
Brawl, I guess.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
The
So
address
like
space.
yeah,
within Dolphin, you're looking at like a specific memory like this, right?
Yeah.
Within the
yeah.
address space. But you have no idea where it is within the rel. So like it just takes a lot
Wait
of
a
like
minute.
effort to try to find
No,
within the rel.
I think we can like find a way to like manage this. Obviously, like when the rel gets loaded, Dolphin has to have like some kind of like base address for the rel's location, and
Yeah.
possibly we could like dynamically remap that rather than like having to play like needle and haystack. There's some cases where I've seen this done. Obviously, with address space location randomization, you have to account for that, and some modern Sonic mods actually have to deal with that. Lost World, for example, uses ASLR, and they need to like take the address, like they have a macro basically where like they get the like base address of the program itself and do a little bit of math with like your target address as if it didn't have ASLR, and it just does it
Right.
automatically. So something like that could possibly work, but obviously we'd have to like do that for like the target rel. Like we'd have to like get a pointer to the actual rel code and then like offset that, blah blah blah, and make sure it's not null and all that. You get it.
Mm.
But I think that could work.
Yeah. I was thinking like something like that too. I guess you could just, if you're loading the module, maybe you could hook like the return value of like where it's actually getting loaded, and then just
Yeah,
like store
exactly.
that somewhere. Yeah, and then just fetch it whenever you need to
Yes.
do something specific.
I mean, like if there's a memory allocation kid, then like we'll find it. It's just a matter
Yeah,
of like crawling through it. It might be a little more granular than we'd like, but this is a specialized emulator at this point, so
yeah.
you gotta get your hands dirty.
Right. So yeah, that's so the other big thing is that so the compiler that we're using to compile these plugins is Clang. But it's like a reproduction of the MWCC like code warrior compiler. And the reason we're doing this is because like I want to avoid any kind of accountability that could be associated with using abandonware. But like I don't know if it
Yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
matters in the long run. But
So
whatever.
you changed Clang to match behavior of Code Warrior based on what we know of Code Warrior.
Right? Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I
I
remember.
didn't do it. Somebody else did it. But yeah.
I'll full disclosure. I recall like talking to my friend Sajid a while ago, maybe not to you, but like a few other people, and I actually showed them like, hey, these guys are trying to modify the compiler, and he's like, why the hell are they doing that? Now it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a few like bugs within Clang that don't match the actual Code Warrior behavior. The big one is that uh, when you inherit from an empty class in Code Warrior, an empty V table is created, but it doesn't do that in Clang right now. Um, so that's not like a big thing. Like there's ways to work around it, but I also haven't really run into it within like a realistic way. Um, it does happen like within the decomp though. Like it is a big problem in the decomp, but
Gotcha.
um, yeah. So another thing that I've started to notice when you nest if statements within the plugin code, it starts getting real wonky and like not getting like producing unexpected behavior. So I can't really show that, but it started to happen. I don't like if I recall correctly. So just like be careful, like when you're nesting if statements, to like not do like an
Yeah.
if and then within the if do like an if and then an else. I think that was the big thing.
Mm,
Um,
okay. Interesting.
um, it's
By the way,
also like what's up?
no, you go, you go.
The last thing is that like within Clang, you can do like inline ASM like I'm doing here.
Yeah,
There's some PPC instructions that aren't supported, but I haven't run into that, so I don't know which ones, so I can't tell you which ones that are.
might
Mm.
be like we specific stuff, like anything with like packed singles, maybe, but
Yeah. Um. Okay, so now we're gonna get into like how the actual rollback like the netcode and stuff works.
before that, if
Yeah,
I
what's
may
up?
ask real quick,
Yeah.
so did you run into anything that made it like a non-option to do most of the stuff emulator side? Because like right now, obviously the players make like plugins that get loaded into the game, specifically tailored to this to interop with like other um like modules and etc. But why is there a reason why you can't like specifically have a lot of the code in like the fork of Dolphin to like modify that at a high level? Why is it that we need to make a module? Because I'm hearing that there's some of these limitations just to make sure that it works nicely with Brawl's own code and doesn't like mess stuff up there. So is there like any particular reason in that element other than just like it be annoying to deal with like the modules? Or you probably explained this earlier, but I did just come in late, my apologies.
Yeah, so the reason why we directly interact with the brawl code is because like of the game loop. So like the way the Brawl's game loop works, it like runs code and then it runs the frame loop and then it runs code after the frame loop to render the frame.
Right.
Um, so we can't just like depend on the emulator ticks, right? We have to like go like into the actual frame loop and like send a message back to the emulator that the end of the frame loop just happened, basically. Because
Yeah.
the emulator doesn't know what's happening within the game. The only thing it knows is the instructions.
Mm. Mm.
So it's like basically creating its
So-
own tick system.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Right. I mean, I have seen from like Dolphin that like it's pretty like strict with like it does actually do cycle counting. So I guess like if that were to get offset by our own like high level replacements, that could be problematic, I suppose. So
Right.
I see the logic.
Okay, so how do save states work?
Right.
Very complicated. Um,
Okay.
please let me know if you lose me, because like the way that the save states work is like really confusing. Um, so the first like let's back up and like explain how I was doing it before, and I'll explain why we're not doing that anymore, and then I'll explain what we're doing now. Okay, so before what we were doing was um, we were dumping the any allocation that happens within the game um, from like a function standpoint. Uh, like within the actual like brawl code, like anytime that any memory was allocated within the memory manager, it would tell the emulator that memory is being mapped, and then it would add it to the save state. Um, this was problematic because like that's not all the memory that matters, right? Because
Right.
you have like locals and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So also like the reason why we're not directly copying all of the memory just straight up is because it's like Slippy does is because um the Wii memory is like 80 megabytes or something, right? Versus the
Yeah. It's
GameCube, which
yeah.
is like minuscule in comparison.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So we kind of had to get like kind of
More
creative in how we
specialized.
were doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um so the reason we stopped doing that is because like I was saying, like that's not all the memory that matters, and we figured that out. And then so what we instead started to do was we would mark all of the memory at launch as read only.
Mm.
And then as writes occur to to any memory within the game, we would flip that memory page to uh, to read write, and then we would mark it as quote unquote dirty within a map. Um, and then at the end of the frame, we would copy any pages that were quote unquote dirty into the save state. Does that
Oh.
make sense? Am I losing anybody?
No, that makes sense.
No, I think I get it.
So
Uh,
you were saying like basically every time, so you start the game, everything's read only, and then as the
right.
game tries to modify the memory, um, it gets marked as dirty in like whatever system we're using, and then it gets copied into like some temporary like frame buffer, I guess, or like the state.
Hmm.
Okay, and then that happens for every single state.
For every frame, right?
Okay, yeah.
That does sound pretty intensive. Have you measured the overhead on that?
I have not.
Might
It's
be worth it.
yeah, it is pretty experimental.
Right. I
I
like it. To be clear, it's just it feels like what might need to happen just for optimization's sake in the future is like to go through the possible scenarios. It sounds a little hacky, but like, if we were to like maybe pre-mark all the memory that would have to get like copied and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because right now we're going through basically this kind of like exception tripping, which is notoriously so, of course. But like if we were able to like cache basically what we need, we could maybe like expedite this while having all the benefits of the system. Obviously, though, that would be an issue for like mods, but we can cross that bridge later. But at least for like targeting Brawl and P plus specifically, that could like be a huge speed boost.
right. Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Um, okay, yeah. So, the way that the rollback works, it like okay. So now we have these states, right? That are only have the for each frame that only have the changes that happened in that frame. Um, so the we can't just go back and load the frame that had the discrepancy, right? So we have to rewind frame by frame to restructure the state from that frame. Does that make sense?
So you're basically just like applying patches to like the previous frame to correct the state of the game after the rollback has to happen, or
Right.
okay. So is it like you're starting at the current frame then going back, or are you gonna start from the previously cached frame and then just apply patches going forward?
Uh, the former.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so we're walking back from the current frame. Okay.
Yeah. So we're walking back from the current frame. Uh, and okay. So so the current state of that is that I'm not 100% sure if this actually works within the Brawl environment because I've like it works on like a fundamental like um how would you say like a in a like a vacuum like a theoretical level. So if you go to Faulty Pines implementation, you can kind of see what I mean by that. Iris, if you scroll up to the top and you click on Fair Fork from, yep, you click that, and then you click on the main.cpp. Yeah. So the way that he structured his frame loop is a little different from how Brawl structures their frame loops. So in my fork, I tried to structure it the way that it actually functions. So if you scroll down,
Sorry, 1 second. Let me just switch to my other monitor.
if
Scroll
you
down to where?
scroll down to tick, yeah. So the way that he's doing it is that like on rollback, it resims at like we basically within Brawl, we don't have a way to run a game loop outside of the actual game loop because like
Hmm.
we don't know like how the event system works in relation to other threads. It's like really annoying.
And then this is different from Melee, I guess. Well, for one, they get to like copy the whole memory if they need to, but also because
Right.
like, is Melee just like more understood in that regard, or
Yeah, so the way the resims work within Melee is like radically different from how
okay,
we have to implement it.
Yeah.
unfortunate?
Yeah. So like the way that Melee implements their resims is they trigger a logic reloop by actually tapping into the what is it shoot the VI. I don't remember.
Something like that.
Um it's like it has more to do with inputs than the
Mm.
actual game loop.
Is it
Okay.
like V-Blink or something, or?
It's something like that.
Hmm.
I hear I
Yeah.
think interrupt, but anyway.
Might be.
Yeah, I think it might be like the V-Blank handler, like interrupt thing that gets fired.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, that's interesting. But like basically the way Brawl is structured is more modern engine TM, therefore worse to deal with.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Like it has an actual like way that it like triggers events and like
Mm.
there's threads and you get
Yeah,
like
the
sound and
threads
which is on a
alone.
different thread and
Also, yeah.
like it loads files from a different thread and it's just so annoying.
Yeah,
But like
I understand.
so if you go back to my fork,
Sorry,
Iris,
sorry to.
of this.
I was muted on Discord. Sorry. Sorry. Go back
Oh,
to
you're
what?
good. So if you go back to my fork of this repo, you go to main.cpp. I tried to replicate the game loop within the structure that Pine did within
Mm.
this same idea, um, and I had to make like a few adjustments to the way that he was doing things because of the way that Brawl is structured. I figured out, and then I implemented that within Dolphin. Um, yeah. So this is a resource that we can kind of trinket with to try to figure out what's wrong within Dolphin.
Sounds good.
Because yeah. Um, so if you need like help on how to run this or anything, I'm more than happy to help. But like, yeah.
Real quick, so this is like kind of a way of like re-simulating a frame, but written in Dolphin rather than relying on the game code. Is that correct?
No, it's like completely separate from Dolphin. It's like its
Okay, good.
own
This
simulated
is like a standalone
environment.
thing to
Yeah.
test.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
okay.
exactly.
Okay.
It's not netcode or anything in it. It's just like this is what
Alright.
happens during a frame. It like writes random stuff, and then this is what a save state looks like, and et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, so it's abstracted. It's like it can be applied to other things if you plug in the right data. Okay, I get that now.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah. So yeah, so that was basically it on my end that I could think of that I would possibly need to go over. Is there like any high level questions that I can answer?
For rollback stuff, unfortunately, I feel like Rin will be the best one for this, and she, I think, is asleep, so I'll bug her to watch this. She might like be asking you questions after this, so just be prepared for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. So my knowledge on netcode is very limited. So like the way that I implemented it might not be like to any amount of like scuff. Like
Mhm.
it's completely like just what I am pretty sure needs to happen basically.
All
I
good.
didn't like study it in school or anything. I have no idea. Like, yeah,
I will add that I think it is best for any like development or coding, etc., like discussion. It probably is best to just put all of that in the dev channel, general channel, or just any of the relevant channels in the Discord, just so that
Right.
everyone can have access to it and see it.
Yeah.
It's probably best to avoid like stuff in DMs, just so the information is like more centralized for everyone to have access to.
I
yeah,
agree. It's good to be reminding that, though.
Yeah.
I will also say, you know, again, I just work here. I don't know anything about coding. I'm just here to help. But I didn't realize that Slippy, in order to work, basically they just like nuked Melee's adventure mode to like save more space or whatever. Again, I don't really know what
yeah.
I'm talking about. But knowing that, and also as someone who is very involved in the PM community and knows a lot of the people and the culture and how people are and everything like that, if that is something that would help, like removing aspects of the game, for the sake of like letting the rollback work, I guarantee you that basically everyone is like cool with that. Like, I don't think anyone
Yeah.
is gonna be losing their mind that like, no, what do you mean you had to remove subspace to make
Yeah,
rollback
exactly.
work?
So
Fuck.
that's the first idea there. But
Yeah, you can totally nuke that. You can nuke some of the single player modes. I you know, I don't really know how it works, but if that would help, I promise you, people would be chill with that.
that's also maybe like a way to like, you know, if you're in the single player menu, you could like swap out what you kill. Sounds
Right.
weird, but you know what I mean. But yeah, I agree. I think like the PM community would much rather just have like online multiplayer available to them. They'll like just do delay based to like play subspace with their friend a half a block away.
Rolling back subspace seems like hell. Let's not do that.
Yeah, no.
Okay, so the reason why that's not really like the same is because like the way that the heaps work within Brawl, it completely restructures the entire memory map for single player. So like,
Okay.
yeah, like there's no need to replace anything. Basically, is
Cool.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So I guess the best question I was gonna have was like, is there anything in particular that we could do to support, like, you know, further reverse engineering a brawl? Like, is that something that?
Yes.
Contribute
okay.
to the decomp.
Oh, is there a
Yeah.
decomp or something?
There
There
is.
There is.
Yeah.
There is. Yeah.
I'll
That
link
would
the
actually,
server.
if
Here,
you
I
contribute to the decomp, that like I would, that would be very good.
In fact, we can actually check on it right now. I've got it up.
Oh, invite
Um,
permissions are required, so I can't link it, but there it does exist.
Yeah.
Okay, is this like on their like the same one that's doing the GameCube decompilations
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff?
it's in the same
Yes.
server and
it is
everything.
Oh, I
like
think I'm in that server. Yeah.
the same
Yeah.
group and everything
Yep.
like that. It's at what 1.8%. Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also,
is-
like in the melee
I'll send
channel,
these
by the way.
links to the Discord as well.
Yeah. So right now the decomp is like their big thing is stages, but like I don't need to know any of that. Like that's not
Right.
that's not important for what we're doing. Like
Yeah.
the big stuff that I would like to like be able to look at is like how are menus structured? How was the existing infrastructure for like structures for online, their online version actually works, so that we can like maybe hijack that instead of having to go out to our own stuff and stuff like that.
Yeah, fair enough.
I
I was
get
mainly
it.
asked. Oh, yeah, you
Sorry.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say I would advise like we might not be remembering how bad Brawl Online was, so it might be like best to just not deal with that unless what you're talking about is specifically like what their internals are to allow online to work in the first place.
Right, that's what I mean.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I mean, if that is helpful, then of course. But
Okay, so because I was just thinking of like I could just load the game into like IDA or Ghidra or something and just like try to reverse. I didn't know if there was already like an existing project or if the decomp
There
is the only
is.
thing. Oh, okay.
We
So
have a Gidra, yeah. The Gidra
Yeah.
actually has more decomped code than the actual decomp. They're trying to
Yeah.
move it to the GitHub, but yeah.
that makes sense. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Is there a link to the Ghidra repo? I can take a look.
So if you join the custom brawl modding server, they should have like instructions on how to get in there.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's maintained by Sammy Husky and people like that. Very cool people.
Okay.
The other thing, by the way, is like I don't know if you know this, but there's actually like .map files, which like they're kind of like
Mhm.
symbols. I'm not entirely sure like what their deal is, but they're kind of like a .pdb a little bit, where they have like a
Yeah.
lot of like information on like functions, like what the name is, like what certain
Right.
input variables are, which is very good for us. The
Yeah.
main issue is like the labor being put into like map out what we need. That's sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, the problem. Not that the information is like extremely hard to find, not saying it's easy, but like we have resources available to like make this work more than like going completely blind.
Yeah, okay. So like yeah, the map file that just has all the like it just has symbol names mapping to addresses and stuff
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
For modules, apparently you do have to do some funky stuff because like they need to be
It's like
allocated like
relative. Yeah.
yeah, they need to be allocated in like not a random location or for the map file to work or something. Eon said something about that. I don't really get it, but it makes some sense.
Is there like a deterministic algorithm for loading this stuff? Because my understanding is that like they're just getting loaded from the file system and then just like mapped into some random memory, and then like everything just gets pointed to that like through some relocation table. But
Good
Uh
question.
yes, the way that it gets loaded, like the what you're asking is, do we know like where the modules are loaded into the game? Is that what you're asking? Because
yeah,
yes,
like
it is a determined, like predetermined spot within the
okay,
game.
so is there like a I guess like so I'm thinking about it in terms of like the DS because the DS has these things called overlays, which are like code blocks that get loaded into memory, and then there's like a file, like an overlay table that just like says, all right, when you load this file, like put it in this RAM address. Like, is it the same thing here, or is it just loaded into some spare RAM, like whatever's available at the time?
Uh, I think it's the latter. Yeah,
Okay.
it's just that the way that the modules are loaded, like the order, is deterministic, and then it just grabs the same memory over and over and over again.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. That's like in line with like the 3DS. I think that makes sense to me. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Does anybody else have any other questions?
I guess I'll ask a question. So,
Yeah.
I think last time I tried to get it to work, I was able to build on Windows 11, but it would like crash. Like, have you ever looked into that, or is that
I
something
do
I could also
not.
take a look at?
Yeah, you could do that. That would be really helpful actually, because I don't have Windows 11.
Oh, okay.
My machine doesn't support it.
Oh.
So
Okay.
yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
it also doesn't work on Linux. Like even if we could build for Linux, it wouldn't work because we're using Windows kernel level functions.
Mm-hmm.
I
Okay.
think that's what Bustifer was asking in I get pinged by Iris asking.
Yeah, asking about
Yeah, no, it doesn't build for Linux right now. It doesn't. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
And then, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, it's because I duke it out in the P Plus Discord. Wanted to at some people about how Eon they have a Python map to port any map file Brawl modding has. So that's cool.
Okay.
So yeah, just keep that in mind.
That's sick.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I guess the last question is for debugging on Windows, like what would you
Mm-hmm.
recommend like a workflow for that? Because I have only worked with Linux stuff, so
Visual Studio is really helpful.
okay.
Mhm.
Make sure you're in release mode. That's the big thing. I was like the
Hmm.
first couple of months that I was in debug, and I was like, why is this going so slow?
Oh
Uh,
right, yeah.
there's flags within Dolphin, like the code that
Yeah.
if you build using debug mode, it like slows it down specifically because it's like inserting code to like log a bunch of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, for instrumentation stuff. Okay. Okay, yeah. I'll give that a shot then. So is it like regular VS Code or regular VS or VS Code? I'm assuming
It's
it's
just
just
regular
regular
Visual
VS.
Studio, yeah, community.
Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll give that a shot. Thanks.
So the debug ASM stuff, you need to like actually go within the Dolphin debugger windows.
hmm
Like yeah,
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 it's
because it's
pretty
like
robust.
PowerPC, right?
it
Yeah,
is.
Okay. Yeah.
it's pretty robust. So you should like there's not a lot of stuff you can't do within. Like you can do
Okay.
breakpoints, you can do memory breakpoints, you can do
It's thread watching everything.
yeah.
Pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, because I was wondering if you could like if that was exposed to like GDB also, like a GDB stub or something that you could connect to.
Um,
Because that'd make
Yeah,
it really nice to use Ghidra or something to hook into it.
it's busted, unfortunately. It would need to be
Oh.
fixed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's busted even upstream.
Oh, that sucks.
oh, great. Opening it crashed, so I'm gonna have to figure this out.
Like there's an old build of Dolphin Word Works. I like it must have been broken at some point because I remember back in the day I used to be able to open it using Fracture's Dolphin. Fracture
Mhm.
must have fixed it or something. I don't know.
Get him in here. Ask him how to get it working.
Unfortunately, Fracture has fallen off the face of the planet. We don't know where he is.
That sounds about right.
Come on, thing.
We used to use this old C++ framework to inject into
I heard about that. Yeah.
called the
Mm.
Fracture work. It was a bit of a mess. It didn't really work fully. It had some limitations. The new Syringe plugin system is like wonderful in comparison, honestly.
He laid the groundwork.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, for sure.
Love
Absolutely.
Fracture. Okay. You were saying earlier about like Linux incompatibility. I feel like that can like in the future be amended. But obviously, right now the priority is getting it working on one platform first.
Right.
So
Right.
Yeah.
any other questions before I ask stupid questions?
No, I think I'm going. I'll think of some probably. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably
Probably-
gonna think of some. This is
Probably after the meeting.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just gotta.
I had something and I lost it.
Oh, I
We're
actually
gonna-
I do have
yeah.
one.
Yeah, sure.
Oh.
We're gonna update the wiki, by the way, with all this information
Sick.
so that we can go back. And
Yeah,
look
I was
at it.
gonna say. So, is it the save states efficiency V2 branch that we should be working off of, or I guess like better questions like what are the branches we should be working off of to start with? Is there any
Yeah,
it's
go
particular
for it.
one?
it's in the document areas. Can you pull that up and then
Thank
just
you.
copy paste it into the yeah, so the ones that we're working on right now are called the alpha repos.
Mhm.
So the Dolphin branch is a fork off of the Project Plus Dolphin.
Mhm.
But the old repo that we're like, it's old, but it's not really old. It's like for like future after we're done with the alpha, basically. Like we're trying to just right now, as I was saying before, you joined, like we're just trying to like get it to work within Dolphin first, so
Mhm.
that we can just like debug like how Rollback is working and stuff.
Yeah.
And then we can go back and put it in the menus because like we have no idea how menus work.
Uh,
Oh, put a pin in that, by the way. continue.
Nice.
Yeah, so we're in Project Plus fork of the ASM repo, and we're in the rollback branch of the fork of the Project Plus Dolphin, basically the TLDR.
Okay,
Okay, cool.
sounds good.
So I
Oh, sorry.
I want to know. Sorry, you.
Well, real quick, I was just gonna say two things, which is that just like on the subject of dolphins,
Discord's
I do
crashed.
think that definitely take advantage of everything that like dolphin can specifically use to like benefit rollback and
100%.
everything like that, because like there is no feasible way this is ever gonna work on an actual Wii, nor is anyone gonna play it
No,
on an
no.
actual Wii. So like,
Yeah, I don't think that's that's probably
so
a
like for
low
sure
priority.
use all
Yeah.
of like Dolphin's capabilities to like juice up the Wii or whatever.
Making this hardware compliant is a non-consideration. Like, let's be clear about that.
100%.
On that note, at least for like prototyping, so like I have kind of two questions based on that. One, would you say that like for any non-rollback dev stuff, like netcode implementation, people can just get started right away on like menu, like R&D, and like try and make a custom menu widget, stuff like that? You're cool with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Cool. That might be where I am, but beyond that, how comfortable are you with like an alpha version where we just like roll IM GUI, just like we stub out like a menu option, maybe like even if we wanted to like be silly about this and go to like the online like feature and just stub out all the menu options there and just have like IM GUI windows just to like get something started. Like, okay, this is going to be like the design template for where we're going to have to like unranked, ranked, blah blah blah. Like, would you be chill with that? And like, I asked because like this is kind of what like some people did in like, let's say, Unleashed recompiled, where like rather they knew what like the HUD code was, but rather than like dealing with that because it was like this whole nested garbage like format, they just stubbed it out and then like used their own implementation that at first was pretty janky, but then they like added some animation like systems to it that made it really nice to work with. Number one, and number two, like match the game. We don't have to go that hard, obviously, because Brawl is 3D and you can rotate the camera. So I think people will want to continue doing that for what we make. But would you be okay for like an alpha test doing something in that direction at the very least?
Yeah, we could do that.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
I will try to find them. They're somewhere around there, but Motobug did make like menus like in the game.
Oh yeah,
for this.
that'd be tight. Yeah.
Yeah, they look really cool. I'll see if I can. Oh, you know what? Actually, Poison. I think they're in the channel.
Yeah.
Moto's like retired, but I'm sure he'd be like willing to donate whatever he made.
I will say, as someone who is very close friends with Motobug, they're in my region, we're tight and everything like that. If it was for the purpose of getting Rollback out and everything like that, they'd come back. They'd come out of retirement one last time to the studio.
Yeah.
They'd do it.
Cool. All right. Cool. I think that's.
Send me that video though, Poison, like of the menus being demonstrated. I can put it in Dev General for people to see.
That'd be also really good for like R&D, I would say. But yeah, I think that's all I'm mostly concerned with. Yeah, at least for now.
Yeah, I was gonna ask one last question. I guess, is there like, other than like the wiki, is there like a tasking board or something like we could do?
There is.
Oh, okay.
I actually asked this a while ago and then I checked the pins and I felt like an idiot. And then Ripple memed on me. It was great.
Oh, that sucks.
It's fine. It was funny. So
you can just ignore him. That's what Ripple does.
I love Ripple. It's great.
Some of that is actually kind of outdated at this point.
Okay, that was something I was going to bring up because like I noticed on the board there were some tasks that were like last touch 2023, and I'd imagine that was mostly like you've been like in a hole doing some stuff, and I feel like some of the tasks need to be like given a once over. So after this meeting, I feel like admin on this team definitely would need to like go through and go, okay, is that done? Yes, no, and like I work best when there's some formal marching orders. Obviously, like you said, anything with menu, like we can just go get started. Though obviously, whatever Moto has to start with, that'd be helpful. But like, if there's a definitive like this has not been done, this has been done, and I need help with this, that would be huge. So
Mhm.
like just cleaning up the tasks board meme, I would never. Thank you, Ripple. But yeah, that would be excellent. Thank you.
All right. Cool.
Yeah, so I'm kind of looking right now at the project board within GitHub. This is all junk. I
Okay.
can just throw this
Good
out.
to
I was
know.
about to say,
Now,
yeah, because of looking
that
at, like,
that was the reason I was so excited for this meeting, because that would probably be like the time you're like, oh, I need to fix that. I know
Yeah.
how it is.
Yeah. I'll do actual stuff within there, and then
Thank you.
sweet.
yeah.
Yeah, that'd be
And
awesome.
it'd be worth like reposting the project board in Dev Journal, because right now I'm actually having trouble finding it, but I'm also got to leave in a minute. So.
Yeah.
I think that.
Hi, we're done.
Oh, we just finished. Well, I was gonna
Yeah.
say on that subject, like I do think that is another incentive to the wiki repo to get that like super juiced up and updated, is to just put like everything you can think of in terms of like information or where to find something or anything. I think if it was all like thrown in there, it would be really useful for the future.
Yeah.
So we can definitely work on that. That's Sneak. He just joined.
Yeah.
Welcome,
Yeah.
Tyler.
What up?
You're here just in time for us to finish.
That's all right. I was just gonna come soak in passively. I'm actually working right now.
It's all good. Yeah, so it sounds like we got like a good primer on like what needs to happen, what the current process is, and like as YT is gonna do, she's gonna like clean up what the marching orders will be. So that's exciting. Yeah, and for those listening, I did manage to rope in one of my friends who worked on like a few rollback esque projects of her own. She is Wistful Hopes, who did Goku and Strive most famously. So I personally believe that she'll be like a huge help on like the netcode element of this. I think one thing she's going to really need help though with YT is, as you've been explaining, is like some of the brawl isms and just like understanding the engine architecture to make sure we know what can be done and what can't. But
Mhm.
yeah, I'm definitely. And since you like mentioned earlier, sorry, clicked that Flowerbot. So it's not like I want to like put things in like DMs. It's just like I'm going to poke her and then tell her get into the dev channel to like just to be clear about that. But yeah, most development talk should probably be in this channel going forward. So
Yeah.
look forward to that. All right.
I
Are
will
we all
say,
good?
yeah,
Oh.
I will say too. I also think that has a bit of like a social benefit too, because the
Yeah.
more activity there is to be seen, I feel like that grabs more people who are like, "Oh shit, it's like popping in there. Let me see if I can hop in and like add some stuff." I think
Right.
that's
Like
really
we don't want people to think this project's been dead for 4 years. It's just like a lot's happened. If I don't know if you've gone outside recently.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in the world.
It's a new thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a free project we're all doing in our free time, and like we all have our lives and jobs and shit. So
Yeah.
it is what it is. But I believe that should be everything. Unless there's any final questions, I believe we can call it a day.
Nope. Just waiting for that taskboard to be updated. I'm probably gonna do reverse engineering on menus because I feel like right now, a lot of this I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch. But if it's reverse engineering, that's something I'm decent enough at. So I'll probably go hop on that decomp and look at the menus.
Yeah,
As
same.
first makes it good.
I'll try to get
Okay.
this building on Windows 11, but I can probably look
Yeah.
at some RE stuff if
I
needed.
also have 11, so this is gonna be interesting to do. I'll try to make it work, but I guess we'll figure it out together.
Yeah.
Okay, so the big thing with decomping stuff, if you look at this repo, it has a bunch of the headers for Brawl
Nice.
kind of built
Cool.
out for you already, so you can kind of look at stuff. Like this actually right here is where the menu structures live right now.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
All right.
Perfect.
I gotta head out later, y'all.
Bye,
Yep,
gamers.
so-
See ya.
Have a good one.
Yep.